that better? Or is that worse? You're on mute, so I can ask you if you can hear me, but...
Looks good to me.
Okay, cool. I have... this left side is monitoring the angle data, and the right side is monitoring the speed data. I have a script that basically issues a series of twist messages to command velocity, or to teleop command velocity. I was just doing that so I could consistently track performance. So if I go back, and what it's going to do is it's going to drive straight for 15 seconds, turn right for 11 seconds, drive straight for 20 seconds, and then turn right again for 12 seconds. It's just a test, you know, and it's just all time-based, so it's only moderately interesting, but nonetheless, it shows that this thing will move. I sure wish I could share my screen beyond this way, but anyway, here goes. So it's running that command, and it's taking off towards the neighbor's house. I'm gonna have to stop this. Ah! Just missed the tree. I have my emergency button in my hand. Well, that didn't work out. That worked out perfectly. Just like robots are supposed to do. Dag nabbit. You know how many times I did this before you guys got on the call? Oh, as you might guess, dozens. Well, there's my machine. And I have a new bug to work out. Oh, crappy. So there's the steering shaft that I broke and had to re-drill and put another bolt in. I have no idea why that didn't do like it has done the previous. Oh, you know what? I changed my network because I thought being connected to the hotspot on my phone would be better for the laptop. And I bet changing that network screwed something up. Anyway, that's what's going on in my world. What's going on in you guys' world?
That looks good, Al. That's neat. It's all part of it.
I think it's rather painful, but I'm glad you say it's part of it.
I'm surprised how fast you can write ROS nodes now, and you can send commands and move your way around.
Well, it's all been the slow process. I'm going to go inside where it's a little bit warmer right now. Now I will take some time and debug that. And I think if I just restart everything from scratch, we'll be fine. But I don't know quite why changing the network around will cause that. I need to figure out what's the best way to. I mean, at the moment, I've got a home network, I've got a hotspot on my phone, and I've got this jetpack. Seems like running everything through the home network and with the external access point would probably be a better, more stable solution. Frustrating.
So how do you know it was a network problem that wasn't getting to your robot?
I don't. It's just a hypothesis. Because I don't. It's just a theory. Because part of it is it's never behaved like it just did. It was turning to the left. It was getting a left signal, and so that would have been a command velocity and positive command velocity. I don't know. I'll restart it. Let you know how it goes. So I've been doing that, and I pulled my RTK GPS units out and started to get them configured. So on my to-do list is the transmission control. It's not reaching the speed. It's getting close, but it's not reaching the speed target. So I need to adjust that. And the steering is still needs adjusting. It's not, although it's reasonably straight when you look at it on the plot. It's definitely needs some tuning. So it's nowhere near smooth yet, but it's workable. So that's what's going on in my world. Plus, it's getting cold.
Have you been looking for a snowplow attachment for the front of the robot?
The thought occurred to me, but no. Your question. Have you found them?
I've actually been looking. So since I'll be in the north, I thought that would be kind of fun.
And does Cub Cadet make one?
Yes, there's a few. There's like a plow that you like a blade that you can put on there, and then there's like an actual, I don't know, snow blower has a belt. So, but I've heard problems. It depends on the type of snow and the depth of the snow, which one works best. You know, even a broom. I've heard brooms even work. You know, those spinning broom attachments they put on front of things. So those are the options: blade, snow blower, or broom. Spinning broom. I haven't seen the spinning broom attachment for the lawnmower, but I'm sure they're probably out there. Somebody made one or adapted one.
Yeah, I've seen standalone spinning broom units, but never one that go on the front of a lawn tractor. But I think that would be a little bit better of a solution, but only because snow here tends to come in like 3 or 4 inch bursts. Nothing. We don't get too many 12-inch dumps. I'm so frustrated. Here I was all set up.
That's demo gremlins. Unfortunately, that is very common. This is
I should have. Well, I don't know that it was the network or anything around that, but I told myself, hey, I need to run this half a dozen times before these guys get. I did, and it's like 11:30. I'm like, dag nabbit, where are they?
I was at Robo Business once, and we had this big demo and got it working at the shop, and then went to the conference and got everything set up, and everything was looking great. And then, like, literally 3 minutes before the doors opened to the show floor, the cars lost their position. I couldn't control them.
Ouch.
It's amazing. Like, that's part of the joys.
Well,
it's looking good. You're out running around. You can command it and it will move. So that's super exciting.
yeah, the joystick. I mean, it can run with the joystick, or it can run with those the script commands. Again, purely time-based, so it's very crude, but it moves it around. It's useful, I think, to help me have a repeatable process in order to tune things. So why I was trying to use the script is just so that I could have a basis to measure it from, scenario 1 to scenario 2.
Yep.
How are the guys in Argentina doing?
It's running a path has been difficult. So the turn radius on that robot is about 9 meters. And
Wow.
yeah, it has a broken kind of front end. It was a used lawnmower. And so the Cup kit that you have, the turn radius is actually pretty tight. Those wheels really turn. And that's helpful when following a path. So when you generate, so with the AgBot kind of release, you set the waypoints that you want to travel and then run a script, and then it will calculate the Dubin's path around there. But obviously, if you put in there for when you generate your Dubin's path that your turn radius is 2 meters and your lawnmower turn radius is really 4.5 meters, it won't be able to follow that path. And so you kind of want to give it a little buffer or a little playroom, so you don't actually set your max turn radius in the path planner. You set your max radius in your robot controller on the Teensy, but you kind of give your robot a little room to overshoot and move around. And so they would need to put their turn radius at 5 meters, for example. Give yourself a little bit of extra space when you generate your path. So it's learning those types of things, and then kind of what to do to make the robot turn sharper. Generating those waypoints is not very easy either. You have to do that by hand, and so it's kind of like a local coordinate system. You have to say, I want your robot's going to start at 2, 4, from your origin, whatever your origin is, it's going to be 2 meters over and 4 meters up. And then you have to set the yaw angle of how you want your robot pointing. And with the Daniel Snyder, you can do that in RViz. You just click where you want your arrow and then draw the arrow wherever it's pointing, and then that gives you your yaw angle. But we were going to try to bundle up just what we used at the AgBot challenge and get that out there, and then maybe we'll work on improvements or adding sensors, like whatever we want for the next release. So open on that.
Cool. Well, hopefully I'll get my tuning done and get my GPS connected soon. So much to do. Jeff, anything going on in your world?
Oh, I guess I have several things I can talk about. I didn't realize that Yahoo Groups was going to disappear, and within like two or 3 days, it's going to fall off the face of the earth. They said that some like November 4th or something, and they're going to delete all the content. But I think it's going to stop working in just a couple of days. So I went onto our robot list, which nobody has said anything on there for months. So I just said, oh, by the way, it looks like it's going away. And if anybody's interested, you could check out the Homebrew Robotics group, because they're still very active and they're not on Yahoo Groups. And then I said, by the way, you can check out Ross Agriculture if you're interested in Ross and farm vehicles. So maybe we can pick up some people from there. And last night at the robot meeting last night, a guy just said, what was that group again? Apparently his brother has a farm that he's doing, and he says, well, he might be interested. So he signed up last night. He sent a thing saying he wants to sign up. So we'll see what he wants to do and where he wants to go on that.
Matt's going to have to send you that commission check for membership drive.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that we can get anybody else from the list or not. It just seems like the whole thing, our whole robot meeting has dwindled down to like 3 or 4 people that show up. In fact, last night there's 2 of us that were there, and an hour later the third guy showed up, and it just gets to the point where you get this handful of people that just come because they got nothing else better to do, I guess. So anyway, it was kind of discouraging last night, but that leads me on to my next thing, where I took my laser scanner off my mini tractor and took it in to the meeting and started playing with it. And as I posted last night, I got it working, but I couldn't post the picture. So just now I sat here, I went to the here. Let's try this. No. Okay, let me pull this up. Oh, I got too many screens here. I can't figure this stuff out. Let's see. Is that right? Go here and then say share. Screen 1. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Can you see my screen at that point?
Yes.
Okay, so let's click on here. So there's my, if you can see that, that's the results of my thing that I got running last night. So this is that old LMS 200 laser scanner, and it's using the like a $6 12 volt to 24 volt converter I bought on eBay, and just a little 3-wire null modem cable that I made up. And this is publishing, and this was actually on, I pulled up an old laptop to find this. It was is running Ubuntu 14.04 and Ross Indigo. And I was going to look today to check, but when somewhere along the line, I looked for Kinetic, and they stopped supporting this, but I was just able to download the code and say compile, and it still worked. So I'm hoping this is going to work. So the next step is, this was on a laptop, so I'll have to get my Raspberry Pi that I want to use and see if I can download that code and get it to run and see if it'll understand this laser scanner. And if it does, then I'll have a laser scanner on the thing.
That's awesome.
So let's see, let me see if I can switch screens here. So then that takes me to the next thing. Okay, I assume this one's showing up. There's so I was looking at my Raspberry Pi power sequencing stuff again, and I just did some searches, and I was gonna post some links here too. Oh, it keeps helping me. So maybe I'll just post all these in a row and not comment on what they are. I'll say copy that one. Here, let me just try this. This might make a big mess, so don't get too excited. Let's see now how to get my chat window back. No, not that one. Not that one. Well, here, let me do this. Stop sharing. Go here. Okay, this might work. So there should be 3 links showed up in the chat window now. So if we go back and say share the screen again, screen 2. So this first one is a fairly simple one. It's just simply they say there's a 5 volt input into the thing. So it's already, you've got a 5 volt converter or whatever. It's just a simple push button. So you push the button and it powers up and latches it. And then there were several ways you can turn the thing off. So I'll look at this one to see. And here he's got a fairly comprehensive list of what's powered up. How do you want to shut it back down? So I was looking at that one, and I moved on to this one. So this guy's article, he's trying to build a like one of these retro game controllers, and he just wanted a fancy way to have his slide power switch power the thing up and down. But here he's got a little AVR to do his sequencing, and he's got a regulator here that he turns on and off, and he's running his Raspberry Pi. So this one has like an Arduino type thing that's, once you power it up, it's talking to the Raspberry Pi to decide when it should shut back down. And then I looked at it somewhere down below in the comments. A guy says, "Oh, here's one I did for my car," and he says he's got a Corvette and he's trying to get his some kind of built-in computer to work for that. And he goes through his description here, and then if you click on the page, it comes up with this picture. And so he basically just has, say, here's this Raspberry Pi over here on the right. He doesn't say, but where it says 12 volts out, I assume that's running some kind of converter that then runs the power to his Raspberry Pi. But he's just got a couple of lines going between the two. So once you power the thing up, then if you could say, do a shutdown from the Raspberry Pi, it tells everything to turn off, or he's got some kind of a manual switch. I didn't look to see real hard how he's doing that. But I assume it's the point when you turn the ignition switch on, it powers up your Raspberry Pi, and then when you go to park, you turn the key off, and then it goes through some sequence to tell your Raspberry Pi to shut down, and then turns all the power off. And that's what I'm trying to come up with. So if you imagine your vehicle, whether it's a lawnmower or a full-size tractor, eventually you want to stop debugging this stuff, and you want to, instead of doing development, you want to have it go into commercial mode. So basically somebody would get on the thing, put in the key switch and start it up, and you want everything to start up. And when you're done, at the end of the day, you park it and you turn the key switch off. You don't have to do all this extra computer maintenance to make all this stuff work. So I think if I just go through and combine all these different suggestions everybody's doing here, I might be able to get something that will work and work fairly simply. And one of the things I was thinking that was, well, if I have a little Arduino running it, it's simplest to develop it. I'll just connect it to the main power all the time. So that would be connected to my main batteries. My Raspberry or my Arduino is going to be running all the time, drawing power. And after looking at some of these other circuits, I thought, well, they have a thing where you push a push button, and that enables power and turns everything on. And when you're done, it turns everything back off. So I could have it so when you either turn the key switch on or hit a push button, it would actually power up the Arduino at that point. So it's not going to run all the time. So you only power it up when you need it. So again, just looking at putting all these different concepts together, I think I can come up with something that may be useful, and then hopefully get something that doesn't have a lot of extra parts. So it's not too hard to implement. And it could be that if I look, somebody's got a little board that snaps right on top of your Raspberry Pi, will do this whole thing for me. So that might be another approach too. If I find that might bypass a lot of the stuff I'm trying to do. Right now, I'm just looking at ideas on that. So
it would be cool to be able to start the Raspberry Pi over a network connection, if that's possible. Put that on the wish list.
That's one I hadn't considered. Do you have a reason to do that?
Yes. So for example, in the north, when your weather station detects that there is snow, then it wakes up the robot at 4 a.m. and then this robot goes out and plows. So when you get up in the morning, everything is all nice. But we would need over the network to be able to wake the robot up.
But the problem with that is you got to have your Raspberry Pi has to be powered up all the time. Well, it could be that wake on LAN. On the big computers, you have to have like a what do they call it, the backup supply, or they have some other name for that keeps the network card running all the time. And I don't think Raspberry Pi has that, but you might be able to. So another option would be just have something else in your house is you've got a desktop computer that decides, oh, it's time to wake it up to go to do snow plowing, so it could send a message out over some kind of a radio link or whatever, something physically connected to it to wake it up.
Do like a low power Zigbee radio and then wake it up serially or something.
Yeah, you can. There's various things you could do there. Once you get to the point where you simply have a power up request and a power down request, you can feed that with anything you want. It could be like a timer. So at 8 a.m., it would say, oh, gee, I should wake up and go check to see if there's snow outside or whatever. So you can have it so it wakes up on a timer, or you can have it so a manual push button, or if somebody turns on the key switch, or you could even get one of those little pocket remote control things that, the little key fob that's got multiple buttons. So you could hit that, and that would just have a receiver on the thing that would wake it up. So it just basically, once you get to the point where you have a wake up function, you could hook it up to whatever you want at that point.
Yeah.
Except for a network, you have to have something smart enough. You could get one of those little ESP radios or whatever that actually listens to your Wi-Fi, and it could be running independently of everything else. The only thing it's going to do is, if it gets a snow request, it would tell the thing to wake up. That would be one way around that.
Yeah, the ESP, I forgot about those. That would be a good wake-up call over network.
I'm not sure how much. I assume they've got them figured out where you can run those on low power mode and still have it work. So I don't know.
Yeah, even if it woke up like every half hour, that would be okay. This is dreaming, of course. It's a pile of work to make all that.
Yeah.
You're mentally already in Oregon, Matt. It's clear.
That's how much I enjoy shoveling snow.
Yeah.
I have seen a few flakes of snow, but it was, just, I had to stand there and look real hard. And I said, yeah, that does look like snow. And then, a little later, there wasn't any. So far it hasn't snowed here substantially. Hasn't snowed enough to get out the shovel yet.
They do have Christmas trees up at Home Depot, I noticed yesterday.
Well,
Anything going on in your world you want to mention?
Well, now that Jeff is working on his laser, I need to update the Ross lawn tractor with a laser. And second, I want to learn how to get my laser going. We have the same, I think we have the same laser, should have the same laser set up, but that'll be fun. And thank you, Al, for figuring out how to get the parameter server from the Arduino. I tried getting that working before. I never figured that out, but that's cool.
Yeah, once it was fascinating to see how sensitive the syntax of that was. I mean, oh my gosh, that was torture. As you might have noticed, I came back outside. I'm gonna see if I can get the teleop going again. But anyway. Yeah, so I was going to change. I've got my steering function reading parameters, so I can adjust steering. So I can adjust like the force factor and the steer left, steer straight, steer right settings. I mean, so it's one array that I'm passing. I wasn't able to get the parameters working with just one integer, so I said, oh, okay, so I'll do a float array. And so I just passed the float array I think I did it every 10 seconds just to try to keep network traffic down a little bit. But it's working really nice. But yeah, I was pretty amazed at how sensitive the syntax was. So I'm back at this, and so my laptop is connected to my hotspot on my phone. The tractor has got a jetpack on it, and it's all connected through zero-tier VPN. I'm going to shut everything down on the laptop here. I've been working on instructions as well, so you might see some updates in the G drive with But again, they're pretty tailored to my setup, but they might be useful to somebody. Some of that's so I know what's going on. I can do it. Repeat it when I forget. I've got so much stuff open here. Still got plots going. Close those down. So on the tractor, I've restarted the tractor node. Steering is trying to get back to the 0 position. Restart teleop. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go walk over to it. I don't have remote start like you do, Matt. I never got my
So Al has one more safety feature than Matt has.
which is that?
In fact, you can't start it remotely. It's a safety feature.
Yeah. Now that motor is complaining. Why is it complaining? I don't want it to complain. I'm not going to start it because I don't have positive control of the steering yet. It's misbehaving. Let's see if I can get RQT to tell me what. So you probably can't see that because it's too small, but steer control. I'm just going to stop that. So thinks it's at 37,141 and it wants to go to 36,500. It's giving it a 50 on steer and a 2 on KI. So well, you guys don't want to watch me debug this thing. Got to go back into the parameter setting. I set the steer effort in the parameter a little bit higher at 50, but it's not in the launch file like that yet. That's one of the things about if you set a parameter, you got to, if you really want it to stay there, I've got to remember to go back into the launch file and update the launch file. And even at 70, I still can't steer it in the grass, you know, if it's not moving. So I was planning on going to increase the steer effort a little bit higher so I could turn it in the grass if I needed to.
Yep.
I know that comes with a certain level of risk. So I'll try one more time to join Zoom to see if that's any better on the. Zoom does not want to work on this machine for some reason.
It's always something.
Holy cow, I gotta tell you, frustrating as all get out. Video won't crank on either. Okay, guys. I'm done boring you. So what do I have to do? I have to make sure I've got steering control before I turn the darn thing back on again. Fire up our QT. Sorry for the view. So my RQT, or I'm sorry, my the red line is actual steer angle data, and the blue line is target. So that is saying that it's a little bit to the right of the target. Just gonna go turn that and see if I can get that to stop whining.
It's probably running beautifully now. We just can't see it. He's probably out mowing his yard and trimming up everything.
Yep. The camera shuts it down. Oh,
I had another realization. I was looking at my Raspberry Pi, and it's only got the 4 USB ports on it. And I'm thinking, boy, I got a whole bunch of stuff to plug into that. So I'm trying to decide, can you put on 1 hub or 2 hubs, or is it better just add a second Raspberry Pi so you've got more devices coming in, plus you get twice the processing power? So that's another dilemma I just ran into, that because when I start adding up all the things to plug in, it turns out I got a whole bunch of things. I got 2 GPS receivers, and I've got the cell modem to plug in, and then I got my if I want to put a camera on, that adds one. If I want to put my laser scanner on, that adds another one. And it just keeps, every time I think about it, I think, oh, there's some more stuff I got to plug into it. So I'm running out of space real quick on this stuff. So that's why maybe I'll have to go to two separate computers too.
yeah. The Raspberry Pi starts to run out of processing also. I kind of split it up and kind of use the Raspberry Pi sort of as the vehicle control unit VCU, and then the idea is to have like a perception computer. One of the ideas would be to have a perception computer, so that's where your camera, your laser feeds into that. It does the processing on that and then publishes the topics. Mm-hmm. Kind of isolate those systems, but I was trying to use their Jetson Nano, but I was kind of shocked that Ben said that he's already taxing out his Jetson TX2. He's going to the Xavier. So processing stereo images, doing visual slam is a lot of work. So we're going to have to be smart about what's using. I think the laser will be okay, but if you're building, if you're going to do slam with the laser, or just use like optical detection for that? Are you going to run like AMCL for positioning?
I haven't thought that hard. Probably there's, if you're driving outside, AMCL is probably not what you want, because number one, you just don't have enough objects to locate on. So it probably be for obstacle detection, and just to, if you say you want to drive through a gate or something, you use it, to detect things like that. But I haven't really played with it hard enough to know. Hopefully once I have laser scans coming in and things moving, it'll be more obvious what I'm going to have to do with it. So we'll see when I get that far.
And I was running, I tried running 2 versions or 2 instances of robot localization. So with robot localization, you run 1 instance for your local position, and then you run another one combining your global position. But that also taxes out the Raspberry Pi. And so, you start moving stuff back out to your base laptop, like the move base and some of those nodes, start moving those back up.
I'd rather not do that, because my Wi-Fi is never good enough to do that. If you have an actual cable between the two, you can get away with it, but the Wi-Fi doesn't ever seem to be reasonable enough to do that. So I prefer to put the processing power right on the vehicle. But again, I'll see how far I get on that.
Then we talked earlier, maybe a year ago, about kind of making a localization Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi just takes in the GPS, has the IMU, and then maybe a laser or some other odometry and IMU, and then it's all in one little box. And then we load that image with robot localization, all that stuff. And then so that all of that is kind of done on its own computer, and then publishes that back out to your vehicle computer. But now we're up to 4 Raspberry Pis running on your robot. Because you have to have a Raspberry Pi on your attachment. You have a perception computer, a localization computer, your attachment computer, and your vehicle computer.
Uh-huh.
It's all about simplicity.
Or you just throw all that out, put a fancy laptop on there, and I'm still not beyond that either. So
There's this engineer I used to work with, and he'd always joke, this is a long time ago, but he says, if you're watching a demo of some robots, we'd watch demos of different companies' robots, and you can always tell a Ross robot because it has a laptop on it. Lost Al. I was going to show you this. CMU has a lot of people automate lawnmowers, and so it's fun to see people's setups and what software they're using. And here's an open source one from, where is my chat window? I'll just paste all of this in there. There's Al. But ground spot's kind of cool. They use a web interface, and then you can draw a polygon around your field, and then it will do an auto kind of like ox cart path and then send it out. So as you're getting close to driving around outside, and Al's getting close, and the guys in Argentina are getting close, we need to have the next release has to be some UI that we can tell a robot to go around and then start working in planners and auto planners and things. But I also post in they have a Google Sheets with all of their hardware and their parts list, so it might be kind of fun to see what parts they're using and kind of compare. Al, are you up and running? No audio.
a couple of weeks ago, I was complaining that my robot, when I turn left and turn right, I get a different diameter circle. And I kept thinking, well, maybe it's my mechanical, maybe there's something else going on there. So when we're going to have this family day here, so I was taking all my crap out to my car, and I thought, well, since I'm moving the robot, let me take a good look at it. So I stood right over the top of it, and I set my remote to full right, and the wheels turned over, and they came up against my hard stop like they're supposed to. I thought, all right, that looks good. And I looked for a reference point, so I saw the center of the tire was basically pointed at this square piece of wood sticking out. And I thought, okay, I know my reference point. So I cranked it over hard left, and I noticed it doesn't come all the way to the hard stop, and the tire is nowhere near where it should have been. So that accounts for the differences. Just the mechanical system isn't doing what it's supposed to. So hopefully when I replace it with that new servo, that'll give me enough torque to move the thing. So that's something else. I need to unbolt the old one and bolt the new one in, and then tweak everything up again. Maybe that'll take care of my problems.
So you have more room to turn on your mechanical system, but the motor isn't turning it all the way.
Yeah, and at one point it seemed to be turning it all the way, and I don't know if it's because that super servo doesn't have enough torque because they don't have enough gain set on the thing. Because there's been times when I've run it all the way to the left hard stop that's worked. Unless I bent something, I guess I haven't really looked at that to see if I might just bent my connecting rods too, and maybe that's part of the problem. So I need to tear it apart, and because one guy wanted to see some videos of my current system, so I should. take some pictures of what I have and take some videos of what I have and then tear it apart and take videos and pictures of that, then put the new pieces on and try to work through that. So I need to make some big elaborate presentation to put on YouTube here about all this stuff works. I just haven't got around to doing that. I'm hoping they don't announce, oh, we're going to take YouTube down and throw out all the videos, because that's, there's just a wealth of knowledge out there on that.
It's like the old FAQs, back in the day. Alt, those alt servers. There was so much stuff way back. BBSs. Old timer.
Yeah, they're just discussing here the other day about, that old, back, some people actually use BBS software, and I'm thinking, well, I remember news groups, and I remember 300 baud modems, and so that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I was really happy when I got a 1200 baud modem. I was like, this is awesome. It's crazy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We used to download, like, there was only a few websites available, but we used to download like NASA images of meteors and different things. And then you have to download them in like 10 pieces and then use UU encode to like get them, stitch them together, and then you could view one image. And that may take you like an hour to get all that in. And then you download another image and spend another couple hours. The good old days. You just have a notebook of all of the web addresses to go to, or all the FTP sites, big old notebook. You had to type all that in. Then when Mosaic came out and you could actually click a link and go somewhere, I was blown away. This technology is amazing. Al's back.
Partially. Well, you don't want to hear my woes, but yeah, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit closer to the house, so the Wi-Fi is a little bit more robust. Do you guys have a recommended outdoor Wi-Fi connectivity solution?
No.
Ubiquity.
I've seen them advertise, or I've seen them around, but I've never had any of their products.
Pretty good. My tech is a little less expensive, but and then you can get the mesh networks, but Ubiquity is pretty easy to set up, and their titanium bullets, M5s, are pretty strong, really strong.
I'm all about rock solid at the moment. I would rather make sure it's going to work.
If you really want to go elaborate, use the Ragent tri-band.
Is Ragent the name of the manufacturer?
Yeah, they're about $5,000 a piece.
I don't think I'm that rock solid committed.
Or a simpler method is just move your access point over right by your window. Or you get a long cord, run a cord out, put your access point out on your picnic table out there. Those are my low-tech solutions.
So I have restarted my tractor. I am confident I have positive control. So I'm going to go walk over there so I don't have to. Does this constitute walk of shame, Matt, when I have to go start it out in the yard?
No.
Okay, then I'm not doing the walk of shame yet.
Definitely need to add the remote start. I don't know what it is, but working with robotics, it's like either you're maximizing efficiency or extremely lazy, or however you put it, but it's really nice when things just do things by themselves, you know? At least that's what I optimize for.
You probably can't see it, but
That's awesome, Al. You're out driving.
yeah, I want to get it backed up here.
Nice.
It's hard to hold the camera and manage a joystick at the same time. Let's see if this will do better on the table. Yeah, not terribly better, but I need to get it straightened out a little bit. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. I think I've got a code problem. You can't see it, but here, I'll stop it and share my screen. Bear with me a second. These are informational statements. I know the text is really small. Can you see it at all?
Yep, a little bit.
Yeah, see that angle has gotten above 55,000. So it's hard left, and it's never supposed to be that high. So it's gotten to an angle that's higher than what it's supposed to, and my code is not handling that gracefully. So it must have somehow hit something, or somehow I got above what I wanted it to, because I never wanted it to go hard left like that. And so it's reached an error condition that I've got to go program my way out of. So we'll just stop that. So yeah, I'm got more work to do. So in my steer, I got to restart OneDrive. I'm going to go turn my motor off so it doesn't sit there and hum like it's doing. That's probably what happened the previous time as well. Somehow it got above what the code wants it to, what it's meant to not get above. I was just going to show you the code real quick. Share. Let's see. Trying to remember where the preferences were on. Oh, there's preferences. Control plus equal. Control. So am I sharing my screen? I think I am.
Yeah, it looks
Just so
like
have
you're
you-
above your max range.
Yeah, so doesn't know what to do with that. So if I'm in steer base, yeah. Steer angle target. I'm wondering, does that get set? So angular velocity Z will be greater than 0. I know you probably can't see this. Just going back to look to see what my angular Z would have been. So I was trying to go straight, but it's sitting way over here at 56,000. It's calculating the target of 36,500, which is cool. Now, why didn't it execute that? That's my problem. It would have been 0, else steer straight. Why didn't you steer straight? Publish front ankle target. I think it did. Steer angle target 36,500. Yep. So anyway, I don't want to hold you up, Matt, but that's what I'm. Somehow it's gotten above, and I've got to figure out how to handle that error condition. But steer angle target is correct. This might be my problem because the steer error value, so it calculates an error of minus 20,000. And so it may think it, let's see. So steer value is going to definitely, steer value is minus 20,000. Steer left buffer is like 400. Nope, steer left buffer is minus 400. Steer value is minus 20,000. Minus 20,000 is less than minus 400. So it wants to execute this. We just keep turning. I should have put a comment here. I don't remember whether this is left or right. If the pin's high on 14, is that left or right? Do you recall?
I don't remember. I'd have to test it and see.
Yeah, so that's the, I mean, I think that's my, normally, if I'm to, I had a spreadsheet that I used to, tried to help me. That's, I think I must have changed that to speed, not. Okay, so I'm way over to the right, which would be this, I'm sorry, to the left. And I want to go to 0. So it's this use case. Yeah, I've just got to do some thinking on this, Matt. I feel bad. Thank you for hanging on to watch my torturous logic challenge.
I just kind of make it simple and then see what's being commanded to the final teensy out to the servo or your motor controller, and then what's your input, your command velocity input. Kind of follow that command through.
Yeah, that's in my simple logic cases, and I've blown my test cases, so I think I want to go build out my test case a little bit more and say, hey, what do I, if these are the numbers, what do I want it to do? Hopefully it won't be long. But yeah, that's how, so we were talking about turning radius earlier without blowing a 20 amp fuse or twisting off my steering rod.
Yep.
I found out that the steering angle will go all the way to 50, whatever, 56,000. So I was definitely being gentle on it by not wanting it to go past whatever it was, 46,000.
Yeah. And sometimes I just stick like a concrete block underneath the front end, you know, get it off of the ground a couple inches, and then it's easier to do the steering. And then just, you know, just like exactly what you're doing, you can send in the publish your twist command and then take a look at what each one of those should be and if it's following.
Yeah. So, well, if you're going to be around, I'll ping you. And if I get to a point of wanting to actually record something.
Okay.
Are you going to be around?
Yep. Yep. That'll be fun.
Well, I might pester you later.
Okay.
Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Al. Looking
See
good.
ya.
Bye-bye.